Two continents, 7,000 miles apart. Different languages, different cultures, different histories, but connected by something dark. Something that most law enforcement agencies believed was impossible. A partnership that shouldn't exist, but did. And it was more dangerous than anyone imagined. This is the story of an alliance that rewrote the rules of global drug trafficking. An alliance between Latin American cartels and Balkan criminal networks that created the most sophisticated narcotics pipeline the world had ever seen. And this is the story of how an elite global task force dismantled it before it could spread further. It started with anomalies in seizure data. Not the seizures themselves. Those happened constantly across Europe. But the patterns, the routes, the methodologies. For decades, cocaine trafficking into Europe followed predictable paths. South American cartels shipped product across the Atlantic, either directly to Spanish or Portuguese ports, or through West African transit points. The routes were known. The players were familiar. Law enforcement had adapted their strategies accordingly. But something changed. Over 18 months, interdiction teams across Europe began noticing inconsistencies. Cocaine shipments were arriving through unexpected entry points, Adriatic ports, Black Sea routes, and overland corridors through the Balkans. The quantities were staggering. Multi-ton loads moving with unprecedented frequency. And the distribution networks showed a level of organization that didn't match known cartel operations. Someone had built a new pipeline, and it was operating at industrial scale. Deep within Secret Elite's Narcotics Intelligence Division, analysts began connecting data points that traditional law enforcement had missed. Intercepted communications between Colombian cartel operatives and individuals in Montenegro. Financial transactions, linking Mexican trafficking organizations to shell companies in Albania. Logistics coordination between Peruvian cocaine producers and Serbian transportation networks. The picture that emerged was unprecedented. Latin American cartels, historically competitive and territorial, had formed a strategic alliance with Balkan organized crime networks. Not a simple buyer-seller relationship, a full partnership. Shared infrastructure, joint operations, coordinated distribution, profit-sharing agreements. The alliance made strategic sense. Latin American cartels controlled cocaine production, but struggled with European distribution. Different languages, unfamiliar territories, established local competition. Balkan networks had the opposite problem. Excellent distribution capabilities across Europe, but no direct access to cocaine sources. Together, they created something unstoppable. Or so they believed. The alliance structure was sophisticated beyond measure. At the top, a coordinating council, composed of cartel leadership from Colombia, Mexico, and Peru, alongside crime bosses from Serbia, Montenegro, and Albania. They met in neutral territories, communicated through encrypted channels, and made decisions that affected trafficking operations across 3 continents. Below them, specialized units handled specific functions. Production teams in South America processed coca into refined cocaine. Maritime logistics units coordinated shipping, using a fleet of vessels ranging from commercial cargo ships to modified submarines. European reception teams managed port operations, bribing officials and coordinating offloading. And distribution networks spanning 23 countries ensured product reached markets from London to Moscow. The financial architecture was equally complex. Money laundering operations ran through networks of shell companies, cryptocurrency exchanges, and real estate investments. Profits, estimated at $12 billion annually, were split according to predetermined formulas and reinvested into expanding operations. But the true innovation was the route structure. The alliance didn't rely on a single pipeline. They built redundancy into every stage. If one port was compromised, 3 others remained operational. If one distribution cell was arrested, regional networks absorbed the slack. The system was designed to withstand law enforcement pressure and continue operating indefinitely. The human cost was catastrophic. Cocaine flooded European markets at unprecedented volumes and purity levels. Overdose deaths surged across the continent. Addiction rates climbed. Communities were devastated. And the violence associated with distribution wars spilled into civilian areas. Shootings, bombings, and intimidation campaigns that terrorized neighborhoods from Madrid to Sofia. Traditional law enforcement was overwhelmed. National agencies could disrupt individual shipments or arrest low-level dealers, but they couldn't touch the alliance itself. Jurisdictional boundaries prevented coordinated action. Legal constraints limited investigative methods. And the alliance adapted faster than authorities could respond. This was where Secret Elite entered. Operating beyond legal restrictions and national boundaries, the task force had capabilities that conventional law enforcement lacked. Unlimited surveillance, cross-border authority, covert operational methods, and most critically, the mandate to dismantle the entire network, not just intercept individual shipments. The operation began with deep infiltration. Over 8 months, undercover operatives were inserted into multiple nodes of the alliance. A logistics coordinator in Cartagena, a port official in Bar, Montenegro, a distribution manager in Amsterdam, a money launderer in Panama City. Each operative built credibility slowly, gaining trust and access to operational details. The intelligence gathered was extraordinary. Shipping schedules, port contacts, distribution routes, financial transactions, safe house locations, communication protocols, meeting schedules for the coordinating council. The task force assembled a complete operational map of the alliance, from coca fields in Colombia to street dealers in Berlin. But intelligence alone wasn't enough. The alliance was too large, too distributed, too resilient to be dismantled through arrests alone. Secret Elite needed to strike at the heart of the operation, the coordinating council. Without leadership, the alliance would fracture. Without coordination, the networks would collapse into competing factions. The breakthrough came from intercepted communications. The coordinating council was planning a face-to-face meeting, the first in over a year. Location: a private estate in a neutral country, selected for its discretion and security. Attendees: 12 individuals representing the highest levels of both Latin American and Balkan networks. Purpose: finalize expansion plans into Asian markets. The meeting was scheduled for 72 hours from the intercept. It was the opportunity Secret Elite had been waiting for. But the operational window was impossibly narrow. The estate was heavily guarded. The participants would arrive with personal security details. Any sign of law enforcement presence would abort the meeting. The task force designed a precision operation. No arrests at the estate. Too risky, too visible. Instead, they would conduct comprehensive surveillance, gather final intelligence, and then execute coordinated strikes across multiple continents within hours of the meeting's conclusion. The goal was to hit every major node of the alliance simultaneously: production facilities, shipping operations, distribution networks, financial operations, and the leadership cell. The night of the meeting, Secret Elite deployed over 300 operators across 11 countries. Surveillance teams monitored the estate from concealed positions. Electronic warfare units intercepted all communications. Intelligence analysts processed data in real time. And strike teams were positioned at 37 locations, ready to execute on command. Inside the estate, the coordinating council discussed expansion plans, new shipping routes through African ports, distribution partnerships in China and Japan, investment opportunities in legitimate businesses. They believed they were untouchable, protected by geography, insulated by corruption, and too large to fail. They were wrong. At 0300, the signal was given. Across 3 continents, simultaneous operations erupted. In Colombia, a cocaine processing facility hidden in the jungle, capable of processing 2 tons weekly, was raided by a joint task force. The facility was massive. Multiple buildings, sophisticated equipment, armed guards, and over 60 workers. The operation lasted 18 minutes. The facility was secured, equipment destroyed, and personnel detained. 3 tons of processed cocaine were seized and incinerated on site. In Peru, a second production facility, embedded within a legitimate agricultural operation, was hit simultaneously. This site supplied the alliance with high-purity cocaine base. When the task force breached the perimeter, they found 23 workers, industrial-scale processing equipment, and enough precursor chemicals to produce 15 tons of cocaine. All of it was destroyed. In Mexico, a logistics coordination center operating from a warehouse complex in Sinaloa was raided. This location managed shipping schedules, coordinated maritime transport, and handled communications with European partners. The raid yielded computers containing the complete operational archive of the alliance. Shipment logs, financial records, personnel rosters, and communication protocols. But the most critical strikes happened at sea. Intelligence had identified 3 cargo vessels currently transporting cocaine to Europe, one heading for Montenegro, one for Albania, and one for Romania. All 3 were intercepted in international waters by naval special forces. Combined, the vessels carried 8 tons of cocaine, with a street value exceeding $2 billion. The crews, 67 individuals total, were detained and the drugs seized. Simultaneously, European operations targeted distribution networks. In Rotterdam, a warehouse used to store and redistribute incoming shipments was raided. Inside, authorities found 4 tons of cocaine awaiting distribution, along with cutting agents, packaging equipment, and ledgers documenting sales across 15 countries. In Vienna, a financial operations center, disguised as a consulting firm, was breached. This location managed money laundering for the entire alliance, processing over $300 million monthly through complex financial instruments. The raid yielded hard drives containing complete financial records, shell company registrations, and bank account information spanning 42 countries. In Belgrade, a distribution cell controlling networks across the Balkans was dismantled. 32 individuals were arrested, including mid-level managers who coordinated street-level operations. Evidence seized included encrypted phones, weapons, cash, and detailed customer lists. But the operation's crown jewel was the coordinating council itself. As the leadership departed the estate, believing their meeting had concluded successfully, they were arrested at various points along their travel routes. Airport detentions, highway intercepts, hotel room arrests. Within 6 hours of leaving the meeting, all 12 members of the coordinating council were in custody. By dawn, the operation was complete. The alliance, 5 years in the making, operating across 3 continents, and responsible for flooding Europe with over 200 tons of cocaine annually, had been obliterated in a single night. The numbers told only part of the story. 37 locations raided across 11 countries. 19 tons of cocaine seized, worth over $5 billion on the street. 4 production facilities destroyed. 8 maritime vessels interdicted. 273 individuals arrested, including the entire coordinating council, regional managers, logistics coordinators, and distribution cell leaders. Financial assets totaling $900 million were frozen and seized. Bank accounts, cryptocurrency wallets, real estate holdings, and business investments. The money laundering infrastructure was dismantled completely, cutting off the alliance's ability to process profits, even if operations could somehow continue. But beyond the statistics were real impacts. Communities devastated by cartel violence began to recover. Overdose deaths started declining as cocaine availability plummeted. Law enforcement agencies, which had been fighting a losing battle, finally gained the upper hand against remaining trafficking networks. The alliance's collapse sent shockwaves through the criminal underworld. Other trafficking organizations watched in disbelief as the most sophisticated operation in modern history was dismantled in hours. The message was clear. No network was too large, no operation too complex, no leadership too protected. In the months that followed, former alliance members attempted to reconstitute operations. But without the coordinating council, without the infrastructure, and without the financial backing, these efforts failed. Regional networks fractured into competing factions. Trafficking routes that once moved tons moved kilograms. The industrial-scale operation that had terrorized Europe was reduced to scattered, ineffective remnants. The prosecution phase was equally comprehensive. The arrested leadership faced charges in multiple jurisdictions: drug trafficking, money laundering, organized crime, corruption, and in some cases, murder. Evidence gathered during the raids was overwhelming. Convictions were swift. Sentences were measured in decades. But the public knew only fragments. Governments issued statements about a successful international operation against drug trafficking. Media covered the arrests and seizures, but missed the full scope. The alliance structure, the coordination across continents, the sophistication of the operation, and how close it came to expanding into new markets. This is the nature of secret elites' work. They dismantle threats that most people don't know exist. They prevent nightmares before they fully materialize. They operate in shadows so that others can live in light. The Latin America-Balkans alliance should never have formed. The operational challenges were immense. The cultural differences significant. The geographic distances prohibitive. But it happened because criminals saw opportunity, where law enforcement saw obstacles, and it was destroyed because secret elites saw what others couldn't. A pattern in the chaos, a structure in the complexity, a vulnerability in the strength. Somewhere tonight, a family in Madrid sleeps safely because cocaine that should have reached their neighborhood was incinerated in a Colombian jungle. A young person in Amsterdam makes better choices because the dealer who would have approached them is behind bars. A community in Sofia rebuilds. They will never know why their lives improved. They will never know how close their communities came to further devastation. They will never know the names of those, and that's exactly how it should be. Because secret elite doesn't operate for recognition. They don't seek headlines or praise. They exist for one simple, profound purpose: to stop evil before it spreads, to protect the innocent before they become victims, to eliminate threats before the world even knows they exist. The operation is closed. The alliance is destroyed. The threat is eliminated. But the mission continues, because somewhere in the world, another criminal network is forming. Another alliance is being negotiated. Another threat is emerging. And when that moment comes, the response will be the same. Silent, coordinated, devastating. Not on our watch. Not while we breathe. Not ever.